E, F, and G on how to get in, see what modules are assigned for the group members, and how to actually go about doing the work. I'm going to try to touch on each of the individual groups. There's a lot of redundancy among the promotional groups, so I'm going to do just one screencast to help keep everything consistent. So this you can follow along in your own groups, and I'm going to use Group E as the example. So on your group page, you can look over on the right-hand side, second component down, or second section down, and you'll see group member tasks. For this particular group, there's 5 modules assigned, and within those modules is where we'll talk about the content that or the objectives that we're looking to accomplish for, in this case, paramedic promotion. And the same will be true for FTO promotion and for leadership promotion. So look at your group tasks. This is where your group leads will start assigning these modules to you. Each person will have one or multiple modules assigned to them that they will need to complete with the direction from their group leads about the content scope. When you see which module is assigned to you, your name will eventually show up in this field here. Come down to Shared Documents, and within Shared Documents are Word templates for each of the modules. These are the exact pages that will become the training manual after everybody's done. These templates will allow you to edit or add the content to the pages, edit them in the future, and to submit your work when you're done. I'm going to go through an example for each of the 3 groups, and then I'll show you guys how to go about editing and saving your work. And I think you'll find it pretty intuitive. So we're going to start out with the promotional paramedic example 1. These are just very quick examples. They're not complete, just something I threw together to give an example of what we're looking for. This component or this part of the training project is focused on the what. So what does it mean to promote, in this case to paramedic? What does it mean to promote to FTO? What does it mean to promote to leadership? In the next step, when we actually define the content delivery, we'll talk about the how. How are we going to take those objectives or those learning objectives and apply them into in-services, learning modules, book reading, things of that nature. Prerequisites, you'll find these templates are set up almost identical. It's the content within them that'll be different between each of the curriculums. For the first module, prerequisites is typically not defined. For each of these promotions, the prerequisites for Module 1 could define the entry criteria to be a part of these curriculums or these courses. And the idea behind this is not everybody will be invited to do these curriculums. And what we'll need to, at a later date, establish is how many seats are available, per se, within each curriculum. And that way, so for example, we'll use the FTO or leadership example for promotion. It doesn't make sense for everybody in the agency to go through this module in a year because we can't promote everybody. And what you end up with is a dilution of the information. Say it's been a year since somebody's gone through one of these modules, they've really lost a lot of the content, and we need to find a way to make sure that the content's current and relevant. So that hasn't really been defined yet. So the idea would be that there would only be, say, 10 or 15 seats available at any given time for people to be a part of or enrolled within these modules. So that's where that could live for Module 1. In Modules 2 through whatever number of modules there are, the prior module needs to be successfully completed before moving forward. So that's where that would be documented or outlined. In the objective sections, there's subsections, and this you'll see in the example. Under each of these subsections is blank. Remember, we're talking about the what, so these are very broad objectives that need to be met within the module to move forward. And in this particular module for the paramedic promotion, we're not so much about teaching somebody how to be a paramedic. It's important to ensure that the objectives for them to function in Lee County EMS as a paramedic are covered. So in this example, I'm actually pulling from the Paramedic Recredentialing Academy, and as a part of Module 1, the intern will be required to go through Modules 1 and 2, getting an 80 or better to pass that objective. Down here, we would touch on the ZOL, and these are the main objectives they need to be able to do. IV pump is the example, as the second example. Under review, this would be documentations or literature that they would need to review as it relates to being, in this case, a paramedic. So they need to understand the paramedic job description. These are SOGs or SOPs that may not be understood by EMTs, and they're certainly not held accountable for. And here are guidelines, and specifically the parts of related to what we expect of our paramedics. Over here in psychomotor skills, these are things that we expect them to do and the number of times we expect them to do it before they promote. So before they move to the next module, not promote. Under ALS assessments, we expect, as an example, 10 assessments of an adult, 2 of a pediatric. We expect them to do 10 defibrillations, cardioversions, and pacing with the ZOL monitor. Understand it doesn't make sense that they're going to get 10 of each of these on a real patient, but they will need to demonstrate at least 10 in a simulated environment to an FTO to get signed off. Same thing with an IV pump. Imagine if everybody, as they went through the FTO program, had to demonstrate as in terms of sign-off, this level of proficiency. We would stop seeing the example of the IV pump being a challenge for people because they would know it. Cognitive exams, this is the standard across the board in all the curriculums. I think eventually this number could be elevated, but I think for now this is a good starting point. The internship section talks about what would actually occur within the field training program. So when they're actually riding along with an FTO, and it's been discussed that parts of these modules could be accomplished before someone ever gets to the internship part of it. And if later on we need to separate that, we definitely have the autonomy to do that. So as an example, within the internship, they would be required to get signed off on doing 10 checklists of the ALS checklist, 10 of the pediatric, doing 10 narcotic inventories correctly, being primary crew member on 10 priority 2 calls, being a second crew member on priority 1 calls. So this would be the objectives that they would need to accomplish to move from Module 1 to Module 2. Like I said, just an example. Let me jump over, before I move on to the examples for FTO and leadership, let me show you how you would go in and edit these documents, because it's the same across all 3 of the groups, and that way I don't lose anybody. And for those of you that are in Group E that don't necessarily need to see the examples for Group F and G, you could end the video at that point. So I'm going to go back to, this is Group E's web page, for example. Down here you're going to see the word templates that we talked about, and M1, M2 refer to Module 1, Module 2. And so I've come here over to assignments, and I've seen that say I'm assigned Module 1. I'm going to come to Shared Documents, and I'm going to select Module 1. I get 2 options, Read Only and Edit. If I'm going to actually work on Module 1 and add content, I'll click Edit. And if I'm going to see someone else's work, I'm going to click Read Only so I don't accidentally change their work. Click OK. It's going to launch Word on the server, which is different than the Word on your computer. Word on the server functions the same way, except for it allows us to save information and changes directly to the website, so you don't have to go through that headache of saving the document locally, remembering where you saved it, uploading it. All that's taken care of for you. So this is the exact template. This is the Word template that is coming right out of the training manual, technical writing side. But all of these aspects on each of the modules is undefined. This is the work you guys are going to be doing, and this is where you get the creativity to come up with this, what this means. Work with your team leads to define the scope of each of the modules, and there will need to be a little bit of outlining done to make sure that it's kind of done in an orderly fashion and it progresses well as somebody normally would through the promotional process. To edit these subsections, click on Define, which is actually a field. The whole thing will highlight, and then you can start typing. When you hit Enter, it goes down to a second bullet point. And like I said, remember that this is about defining the what, not the how, and we can use very broad statements as far as what the objectives are without going into too much detail at this point. It's important just to get that framework out there and done, and then we can go back and refine it. This allows you to work on it multiple times. You don't have to go in and complete one module in one shot. If, say, I'm working on this at a station and we get a call, in the top left corner is the round office button. Select it, click Save As. To save my work, and you'll see that this brings us right to the shared document section of our web page, I'm going to click to the end of the file name, type an underscore, and then my last name, and click Save. And what this does is saves this document that I've been editing under my name and allows me to go back to it. So I'm going to exit Word now. It's going to bring me right back to our project page. And you'll see right here in Shared Documents, without any more effort, there's the document we just worked on and saved. Now, if I want to go back into this document and keep working on it, just simply click on it like we did before, and instead of selecting Save As, you can click just the Save button and keep the same file name. This example works across all of the groups, so you guys can all follow this. If you're in Group E and you don't want to finish watching the rest of this video, you can stop it now and then go ahead and log into your groups and start working. I'm going to move over to Module F and Module G, or Group F and Group G real quick, and show the module examples so we can at least talk about them. I'm going to go back here to the project lead page real quick, and we'll go to FTO promotion. So same layout exactly. We'll click in here to Module 1 example. So for FTO and for leadership, it really defines something different than what it means to promote to paramedic, and what it means to credential, and what it means to become a new employee. And we really start looking into what it means to train, what it means to be a leader versus a manager. And this, I think, is going to take a little bit more work for these groups, and Group F and Group G, because it's not as intuitive as it might be on the clinical side. It's important that FTOs understand behavioral or personality types, human behavior, hierarchies of need. These are research papers and research topics that have been that there's a lot of content available for. If you just Google these different keywords, you'll get plenty of information on. An FTO needs to be able to effectively communicate. They need to understand the difference between leadership and management, how adults learn, and particularly how adults acquire skills from novice to expert level or to mastery, and how to, which is key among a group of FTOs, how you evaluate that performance so it's consistent. And remember, that's how all of this started. We have 20,000 plus records in a database that we really want to be able to derive meaning from, but we need to have consistent evaluations across the board. Here is some books that are specific to being field training officers. If there's a really good textbook out there, we can budget within training, depending on the cost, to get a bunch of those books in a library so they can be checked out. There's a lot of these books are available in e-formats. So we do have opportunity to define, what chapters within the books the prospective FTO would be expected to read beforehand, and understand that these modules for FTO and leadership are expected to be done before somebody would, say, be eligible to interview or to further test for those positions. And what the goal of this is, and this still needs to be discussed and obviously agreed upon at a higher level than us from the leadership team, is this ensures that not only people understand what they're getting themselves into when they say they want to be an FTO or they say they want to go into leadership, but they have a skill set that will make them effective without having to learn as they go. There is still a big component of learning these different jobs, but at least they've vetted themselves as being interested enough to do the work and to have a base competency that we can measure that they can do the work. Over here on psychomotor skills is a lot different than any of the other module. PowerPoints are a big part of being an FTO. So a example would be, as a psychomotor skill in the content delivery section, is we expect them to do a case study where they would have to create a 15-minute PowerPoint. Another example would be a case study where they're asked to evaluate, based on, say, a video, using this particular performance model, the evaluation of somebody's performance. Like we talked about before, this is that base competency. For internship, we have a great opportunity to do mentoring. Because this is done beforehand, we can say that a prospective FTO would need to observe, say, 5 calls as a third on an FTO truck and do an actual internship. We can talk about them having to help at in-service and get practice and experience instructing. So that's the example for FTO Academy, and like I said, these are just arbitrary examples that can be changed. Let me jump over here to the leadership, and we'll end this video so it's not going too long. And we'll talk about the leadership example real quick. So here within the leadership example, it's, like I said, different than what you would expect from the other ones, and very similar to FTO. So what does it mean to be a leader? Well, obviously we need to define those basic theories that a lot of people don't know. The difference between leadership and management, defining leadership traits, what failure is, what human error is, how to delegate, how to resolve conflict, mentoring, giving praise and recognition. These are very well researched and spoken about topics within the business world, and there's a lot of great articles and books on that. How to do time management, how to do a performance evaluation. I believe that this is something someone should learn before they become an FTO, just like, in this case, a leader. Just like we expect somebody before they credential as a paramedic to learn what it means to start an IV or to intubate. Down here in review, very similar to FTO, these are some books that I've found valuable in my education in leadership, and how and you can define the chapters. And like I said, if there's some really good books, like this one in particular, they're inexpensive. I'm sure we could budget within training to buy 5 or 6 of them and have them available for checkout for people that are successfully enrolled into this leadership academy. Psychomotor skills, similar to FTO, very unique to leadership. So what does it mean to do psychomotor skills in leadership? Well, being able to plan a meeting, being able to do a performance evaluation. So this could be, in the content delivery section, a case study where you're given a synopsis of a employee's performance, and now you have to write an actual performance evaluation. Another example would be giving a 15-minute operational presentation. Same thing for cognitive exams, that 80% cutoff. And then again, we have an opportunity within doing these modules before someone would become a leader. In this case, is we can mentor them and give them experience within different leadership settings. So in this particular module, as an example, they would be required to observe 1 leadership meeting. So this is the example. We're almost at 20 minutes, so I want to cut this short so I don't lose anybody. These examples are available, and a lot of links and things that I have found that I think will be helpful for you. If anybody has any questions, get with your group leads and we'll get them answered. I hope everybody finds this useful. Thanks for your time.